Hello, and welcome to the module Accommodations and Modifications Refresher. We value your time and appreciate your active participation during this module. Here are a few suggested learning norms to make the most of your time. If possible, work in an environment with few distractions so you can engage and reflect. Take notes and jot down ideas for questions as well. Lastly, use this time wisely to ensure your professional learning with university instructors is productive. The agenda for this module is legal foundations of IEPs, 504 plans, and FAPE, accommodations and modifications, examples of accommodations and modifications, learning environment, and summary of learning. Here are the learning objectives for this module. By the end of this module, participants will be able to understand the legal and educational significance of an individualized education plan, IEP, and a 504 plan. Recognize the distinction between and examples of accommodations and modifications, and create a supportive learning environment for all students. We will begin by reviewing the laws that govern IEPs and 504s and the purpose for each plan. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the IDEA, is a cornerstone federal law that governs special education in the United States. Its primary purpose is to ensure that children with disabilities have access to a free and appropriate public education, FAPE, in the least restrictive environment, LRE, tailored to their individual needs. Special education IEPs are implemented to ensure that students with disabilities receive a tailored educational experience that meets their unique learning needs and supports their academic and functional development. Once a student is identified with a disability, an IEP is written with the student's learning needs in mind. The Admission, Review, and Dismissal, or ARD, committee meets with the parent or guardian and student to review the IEP and adjust as needed. The ARD committee consists of teachers, administrators, specialists, therapists, parents and guardians, and students. Any individual with an educational interest in the student is requested to attend an ARD. P has several key purposes. Personalized instruction outlines specific goals, accommodations, modifications, and services designed to help the student succeed in the least restrictive environment. Legal protection and accountability. The IEP is a legally binding document that ensures schools comply with the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the IDEA, safeguarding the rights of students and their families. Collaborative planning brings together educators, specialists, parents, and sometimes the student to create a shared vision and strategy for educational success. Progress monitoring. The IEP sets measurable goals and includes methods for tracking the student's progress, ensuring ongoing evaluation and adjustments as needed. And access to curriculum ensures that students with disabilities have equitable access to the general education curriculum with supports that allow meaningful participation. Or is a landmark civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in programs and activities that receive federal financial assistance, including public schools. Section 504 Individual Accommodation Plan, IAP, is designed to ensure that students with disabilities have equal access to education by providing necessary accommodations within the general education setting. The Section 504 plan has several key purposes. Equal access removes barriers that might prevent a student with a disability from participating fully in school activities and learning environments. Support without special education services. Unlike an IEP, a 504 plan is for students who do not require specialized instruction but still need accommodations to succeed academically. Customized accommodations. It outlines specific adjustments such as extended time on test, preferential seating, or assistive technology that help the student access the curriculum on an equal footing with peers. Legal protection. It ensures compliance with federal law, protecting students from discrimination and guaranteeing their rights in educational settings. And collaboration and accountability. It promotes teamwork among educators, families, and school staff to implement and monitor accommodations effectively. Before we move on, take a moment to think and reflect about what you've learned in this section. What's one thing you'll do differently after learning the purpose of IEPs and 504s, and how can you ensure meaningful implementation of students' IEPs or 504s? Stop the video to write down your responses at this time. For number one, you may have said, I'll take time to connect each student's plan to my daily instruction, ensuring accommodations and goals are reflected in lesson design, not just paperwork. And number two, you may have said, I'll collaborate more consistently with case managers, review the plans regularly, and track how implemented supports impact student learning and make timely adjustments. You have heard the words accommodations and modifications, but what do those terms mean and how do they differ? As we continue our understanding of IEPs and 504s, it's essential to review this information to ensure plans are being implemented correctly. An educational accommodation is a change or adjustment made to the learning environment, instructional methods, or assessment procedures that allows a student with a disability to access the curriculum and demonstrate their knowledge without altering the academic standards or expectations. Because accommodations do not alter the curriculum or the academic standards students are expected to meet, they can be implemented across various educational settings to ensure equitable access to learning for students with disabilities. They help level the playing field by removing barriers to learning, not by changing what is being taught. Accommodations may take many forms and are individualized to address each student's specific needs. The examples provided represent only a small sample of the wide range of accommodations that may be implemented. Extended time on tests or assignments allows students with processing, visual, or physical barriers to have equal access to tests and assignments, but with additional time. Preferential seating provides a student the most beneficial seating arrangement with a learning environment for their needs, like for students with attention deficit or visual constraints. Use of assistive technology, for example, speech-to-text software, allows a verbal or hearing impaired student equal access to instruction. Audio versions of textbooks, useful for students with visual impairments, attention deficits, or language barriers. And breaks during instruction or testing provide students with physical, mental, or emotional disabilities the opportunity to rest or take moments as needed during long periods of focused instruction or assessments. Read aloud accommodation. Provide oral reading of directions and items for ELA/literacy and non-ELA assessments as permitted. Student redirection. Prompt students to refocus and return to the assessment task as needed. Calculator accommodation. Allow use of a non-standard calculation device on designated calculator sections only. Extended time, provide additional time beyond the standard testing period, and frequent breaks, allow scheduled or as needed breaks during testing to support focus and stamina. An educational modification is a change made to the curriculum or instructional expectations for a student with a disability. Unlike accommodations, which provide access to the same learning goals as peers, modifications alter what a student is expected to learn or demonstrate. Modifications are typically documented in individualized education plans, IEP, and are used when a student's disability significantly impacts their ability to meet grade level standards, even with accommodations. Section 504 plans rarely include modifications and are mostly composed of accommodations. Modifications are specialized adjustments to a student's learning environment. These change what the student is learning and creates an individualized experience. Some examples of modifications include alternate projects, provide simplified assignments that reduce complexity while addressing individualized learning goals. Reduced or simplified tests, decrease the number of questions or simplify language to assess essential skills. Lower level reading materials, use text below grade level to support comprehension and access to content. And adjust graded criteria. Grade based on individualized goals rather than grade level expectations. What modifications have you had to implement or utilize within your classrooms? Now let's watch a video on accommodations and modifications for students with disabilities. As you watch, identify accommodations and modifications already in place in your classroom due to a student's IEP or 504 plan.
She will help row the boat.
For students with disabilities, the right accommodations and modifications can be as important to school success as appropriate IEP goals. These educational supports are similar, but they are not the same. Accommodations change how a student accesses information, participates in school activities, or demonstrates their learning. They do not change the curriculum. Modifications, however, change what is being taught or what a student is expected to learn and demonstrate.
I only need you to do the circled problems for me.
Accommodations can be made by adjusting the amount of work a student must complete, allowing extra time.
Just go ahead and turn your paper in.
Okay, you can go ahead and keep working. You've got about 5 more minutes.
Adapting assignments.
Alex, I have your shapes here. Good.
Providing extra assistance, or changing the physical setting.
Let's do one more page today.
There is no one set list. Because each child is unique, the IEP team must identify specific strategies to help your child succeed. For example, presenting a few math problems at a time may help a student who is easily overwhelmed. Another student might benefit from short breaks, or being allowed to finish an assignment at home. A student who has difficulty writing may be allowed the use of a computer, while students with a print disability may benefit from having tests read aloud.
They went downtown.
A child can be given an appropriate role when working in small groups,
Where am I?
or be allowed to participate in an activity in a different way.
Beware of what? Excuse me?
Being seated near the teacher helps some students stay focused,
So we'll go ahead and discuss these in a minute.
and assistive technology can support a wide range of needs.
And if you need me, you can raise your hand and I'll come and help you. All right?
In addition to accommodations, it is sometimes necessary to modify the curriculum. For example, when the class is learning how to tell time, one child might be expected to identify only the hours. While the class is working on vocabulary and spelling, another child may work from a shorter list or focus exclusively on the meaning of key words.
Insects with 8 legs.
Parents play a vital role in crafting the IEP. After all, no one knows your child better. So at home, watch for what works and any struggles that continue. Talk to your child about what feels right to him or to her. Make sure the IEP team considers your child's needs throughout the entire school day, including classroom time, non-academic and extracurricular activities, and transportation. You are not expected to have all the answers. Other members of the IEP team will have much to contribute. You can help by making sure that all accommodations and modifications are clearly written into the IEP. Be sure to ask whether any of the modifications will impact your child's graduation. Ask questions, offer ideas, and bring up any concerns you may have. Open dialogue and clear documentation are essential to developing a high-quality IEP.
He gets to middle school.
I didn't know it was this far from the lockers to the buses.
During the IEP meeting, we can talk about adding extra time to Sam's schedule.
Oh, okay, great.
So we've talked about quite a few modifications today.
Hemos hablado acerca de muchas modificaciones.
¿Hay un límite?
She wants to know if there is a limit.
No, however, we do want to be careful. If we create too many modifications, she may not be able to meet the high school graduation requirements.
No hay un límite.
Well, I know Tori likes being around other people, but she also has a hard time with conversation. So I was wondering, did you have, any other ideas that might help her with that?
Well, we could try a peer buddy, or we could work in small groups more often.
These are great goals, but Brooke's in the 6th grade and is only reading at a 2nd grade level.
This is true, but audiobooks should help her access to content better, and I think we might be able to find some textbooks that are at a lower reading level.
Tori always turns in her homework, but it's not always what was assigned.
Maybe if you can help her get started in class, she'll know she's on the right track.
Sure, I could do that.
I'm unclear who will follow up with each of these items.
I'll handle supports during basic instruction.
And I'll arrange for the seatbelt and keyboard.
Accommodations and modifications should change as your child's needs change.
All right, time for comprehension. If comprehension, then iPad. Are you ready?
Okay, guys.
You are not limited to a standard list.
Can we play?
So be creative and stay involved.
Can we go to the park?
I would love to go to the park, but you're going to study first, right?
Your child is counting on you.
Thanks for helping each other out. That'll be great.
Current classroom or small group. What are some accommodations and modifications already in place in your classroom due to a student's IEP or 504 plan? If you're not sure, make a note to ask your point of contact or an administrator when you return to school. Stop the video at this time to jot down your answers. Let us examine 2 case studies to assess your ability to determine whether accommodations or modifications are most appropriate. Apply what we've learned to a real-world scenario. Read the case about Melissa and discuss. What accommodations or modifications would you put in place to help her succeed? Write down your answers and then we will go over potential accommodations and modifications. Potential accommodations. This will change how Melissa accesses learning without lowering expectations. Text-to-speech software allows Melissa to access grade-level reading materials by listening. Audio versions of textbooks or reading materials supports comprehension while reducing decoding frustration. Extra time on reading assignments and tests gives her a fair opportunity to process material at her own pace. Preferential seating helps her focus during reading or instruction. Chunked reading assignments breaks larger reading tasks into smaller, manageable sections. Visual aids, graphic organizers, or outlines support comprehension and retention of content. Oral responses to projects, or instead of written reports, allows her to demonstrate understanding without being limited by decoding and writing. Potential modifications, they change what Melissa is expected to learn or produce, simplified or adapted text for independent practice, reduces reading difficulty while practicing skills aligned to grade level content, reduced number of reading questions or assignments, focuses on key learning objectives rather than quantity, and alternative assignments. For example, creating a visual presentation or oral summary instead of a written report. Real-world scenario. Read the case about Mark and consider what accommodations could support his learning and assessment performance. Think about strategies that address attention, organization, and anxiety while still allowing him to engage with grade level content. Take a moment to reflect on this scenario and then listen to potential answers. Potential answers. These change how Mark accesses or demonstrates learning without altering grade level expectations. Extended time on tests and assignments helps reduce stress from timed assignments and allows him to demonstrate knowledge. Frequent breaks during tasks or testing supports attention and helps prevent fatigue or frustration. Preferential seating. Seat him near the instructor or away from distractions to support focus. Chunked assignments or directions. Break larger tasks into smaller, manageable steps to keep him on track. Use of a quiet or separate testing environment reduces distractions and anxiety during assessments. Access to organizational supports, planners, checklists, or visual schedules to help manage assignments and deadlines. And read aloud or text-to-speech support. Allows him to focus on comprehension rather than decoding under pressure. Now that we understand the difference between accommodations and modifications, let's consider the environment in which we deliver those so that all students are successful. Considering the learning environment, we will first look at the continuum of placement options when it comes to children with special needs. We always focus on making sure the student is placed in the LRE, or least restrictive environment, based on his or her needs, goals, and objectives. Full inclusion includes students being in the general education classroom all day with accommodations and supports in place. Resource rooms and separate special education classrooms are considered moderatively restrictive in that a child is not in general education all day, only part of the day, depending on the program summary in their IEP. Most restrictive environments are typically considered a substantially separate classroom. This type of placement is common in homebound students who have an instructor come to their house to teach. Hospital educators will travel to those who have health and physical disabilities that may require hospitalizations due to multiple surgeries or prolonged health concerns. Sometimes those students categorized as having intellectual disabilities will be in substantially separate classrooms in a school, as their modifications and alternate curriculum paired with intensive focus on adaptive skills may warrant this type of placement. When setting up a classroom for special needs students, instructors need to consider various factors to create an inclusive and supportive learning environment. Here are some important considerations. Number 1, accessibility. The classroom should be accessible to students with physical disabilities. This may involve the school providing ramps, wheelchair accessible desks, and adjustable furniture to accommodate different needs. Number 2, classroom layout. The furniture should be arranged so that learning materials are accessible and there is ample space for students with mobility issues. Consider the placement of chairs, tables, and materials for accessibility. Number 3, visual supports. Use visual supports such as visual schedules, color-coded labels, and visual cues to help students understand expectations, routines, and transitions. These should be placed, if possible, at the student's eye level or at least in a clearly visible location. Number 4, sensory considerations. Create a sensory-friendly environment by minimizing distractions, working to control noise levels, and provide sensory tools and accommodations per the student's IEP. We will learn more about the IEP process in the next module. Number 5, technology and assistive devices. Students may have assistive devices that need storing in your class. Keep this in mind when setting up your classroom. Students with language impairments, learning disabilities, and assistive devices may require more support and behavioral strategies in the classroom. Incorporating visuals into the classroom is beneficial to all students. not just those with such accommodations. Visual schedules and support are part of a predictable learning environment. The addition of visuals can also foster independence in students as they learn to reference visual supports as opposed to always having to wait for the instructor to direct next steps. Establishing structure and routine has many purposes. It lessens anxiety in the learner because when students know what to expect, they are free to focus on learning instead of unexpected transitions and changes. Planning out class routines and modeling expectations allows students to see that things can change, but they will change in a systematic way, reducing any fear over new routines or procedures. Having structure in place aids students with transition expectations as it gives them clear steps showing the beginning, middle, and end to the activity or class. Self-regulation is an essential skill for students to manage emotions and behavior so they can remain engaged in learning. Instructors can support this in the classroom by creating self-regulation spaces like calm corners where students can take a break and use tools such as feelings charts or strategy cards. These areas promote calming and reflection, helping students regain composure without disrupting the learning environment. Once calm, students are encouraged to rejoin instruction, building both independence and emotional awareness over time. Using consistent routines and visual supports make these strategies accessible to all learners, including those with special needs. In all grades, this can also include incorporating goal setting as a way to monitor one's thinking and learning. We have covered a lot of content. Let's review. The purpose of individualized education programs, IEPs, and Section 504 plans is to ensure that students with disabilities have equitable access to learning opportunities and can participate meaningfully in the educational environment. While both plans provide support, accommodations and modifications serve different functions. Accommodations adjust how students access or demonstrate learning, whereas modifications alter what students are expected to learn. Finally, instructors can modify the learning environment to support special education students by using visuals, maintaining structure, and allowing for self-regulation. I hope you enjoyed this module on accommodations and modifications refresher. Please complete the Check for Understanding CFU and the survey included in the Google Classroom. Thank you, and we look forward to providing continued support for your professional growth at university instructors.